Hello everyone. I would like to look at, analyze a bit, and add to the last video that above is below the YouTuber made. It's called the transmuters. So I'm going to play the video first, and then we'll look at what she has to say and what I have to add to it. Okay, let's begin.
Over the weekend, I came across some information that I wanted to share about mercury. It's a metal. It appears as a liquid at room temperature. And mercury can create amalgams, which are liquid alloys with other metals and have some very interesting uses. At around 500 BC, Romans began to mine the cinnabar in Spain. Greek philosophers began to mention the metallic mercury in their writings. Theophrastus and Aristotle mentioned mercury as argentum vivum, or living silver, also known as quicksilver, quick being the English word, used a long time ago to describe something living. They also used that for mirrors. They really did believe it was a living entity. So how many times have they shown us films that there are entities or demons in mirrors? Principally, the cinnabar was heated in an iron cauldron covered with a lid. The ionic mercury was reduced by the iron to metallic mercury. In Pliny's time, metallic mercury was known to form amalgams with other metals, a trait that was used in the extraction and cleaning of silver and gold from various ores. Gold and silver are naturally found in their metal form, but they are mixed with different minerals. To extract the precious metals, the miners would pulverize the rocks to a fine powder, then mix the powder with the liquid mercury. The gold or silver would form amalgams with the mercury and separate from the minerals. The first person to write about his alchemical experimentations was Wei Po Yan in the 1st century AD. The Chinese alchemy is based on Taoism, the Chinese philosophy, and therefore includes the principle of duality, that the integration of two opposites into one entity. Yin and Yang is the way to perfection. They believed that every solid object in this world also has a spiritual aspect, a magical force. Chinese alchemists focused mainly on manufacturing potions of eternal life, and many of these potions contain cinnabar or mercury plus various herbs. A very famous story involving mercury is the death of the first Chinese emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in the 3rd century BC. According to legend, the emperor was buried in a magnificent tomb which includes, among other things, 100 rivers of mercury. His tomb is sealed to this very day, so it's difficult to tell how much the legend is true. However, modern archaeologists sent in probes which indicated that the amount of mercury found in the tomb is 100 times the amount of mercury found naturally in the area. Transmutation of metals probably also started with the Chinese alchemists. They believed that after roasting, the metals would gain spiritual qualities. Therefore, it was important for gold or cinnabar to go through this process if they were to be used as medications or give eternal life to those who ate them. The circle and the cross together form the sign of a female. Originally, this was supposed to be a handheld mirror, and since women used mirrors, this became the sign of a female in general, or more specifically Venus. As the symbol for Mercury, it reverts back to the sign of a mirror because Mercury is so shiny and reflective. At least that's the story they told us, and how many times have they shown in films and TV shows about people traveling through magic mirrors. Now, when I began to look at all of this alchemy, I came to some other conclusions, and all the time this is what you see. You see the sun and the moon together. The sun represents gold and the moon represents silver. You always have this triangle with a cross, and that is sulfur. And there's a little crown, which I think is Regulus of antimony. This is something that helps the metals come together somehow. And you've always got the two snakes with the caduceus, which I think is an electrical charge. And then you've got the water, because water is a conductor of electricity. Cinnabar is commonly found on quartz crystal matrix and is sometimes known as dragon's blood. Cinnabar awakens inner genius and mystic visions for alchemy, magic, transformation, and manifestation. So I think when they show this and the rebus, and they've always got a dragon underneath of them, it might represent Cinnabar. And they've got the sign of Mercury above them. And all the planets around them, you can see it's Venus, Saturn, and then they're standing on a dragon who's on top of a bull with wings. The god Mercury is always known as the winged god. He's got wings on his shoes or wings on his hat. So it's probably Mercury below them. And you get Mercury from Cinnabar. Cinnabar's got a few symbols, and this is one of them. Does that look like something? Yeah, I don't think these people are Illuminists. And I'm questioning if they really are Masons. I'm thinking that these people are alchemists. And this whole thing is one big diversion to put our attention away from what they're really doing, which is alchemy. They are using metals, which apparently are alive, to live forever. And this might be why they've got historical doppelgangers. Every time you see these famous people, they've got somebody in the past who was famous who just happens to look like them. So I'm thinking now that all of this Illuminati nonsense is just that, to keep our attention from realizing that these people are doing alchemy. They're doing alchemy, and they're doing it in other forms as well. And it said earlier that they thought that Mercury and these spirits were real, that they were real spirits like Quicksilver. Maybe that's why they've got people staring into mirrors all the time, and it leaches out our life force. They've got black mirrors, laptops, iPhones. Maybe they wanted people to be narcissistic and always looking at a mirror and taking pictures of themselves and everything. So maybe the entities that are in this Quicksilver are eating our energy. It's just something to think about. So I think this whole agenda for them means something else. And I think that they might be using metals and alchemy to live longer so that they can cheat judgment, not so much death, but maybe cheat judgment or some sorts of comeuppance that they know they would receive doing what they've been doing for however long.
Okay. So, again, the video was made by Above is Below 2. She has 2 channels, if I remember correctly, on YouTube. So, is there any truth to what she's saying? Absolutely. The synchronicity with which her video came out and my experience was amazing. It's been 2 days and I have had time to debate whether or not I wanted to share my own experience. Because 2 days ago, I had a battle. There was a battle. I had a fight at the non-physical state. Internal, if you like. Not really internal, but as some of you know, those of you who have been watching my videos, I've been trying very hard to cleanse myself and to become 100% who I was before coming here to the universe. So that was when I woke up in the morning and I saw Above is Below's video, I was like, impossible. Synchronicity. There are no accidents. So, let me tell you a bit about the non-physical state battle so that I can connect it to above is below's video, because it's important. I had a fight. It was actually quite brutal. I had a fight at the non-physical. As some of you know, I have an entity, a blockage inside, the last that piece that doesn't want to leave. And I've been taking it out part by part, piece by piece. And so 2 nights ago, there was a big fight where the entity made some interesting revelations in terms of above is below's, well, the connection I'm about to make. There was a point where the entity hung on to every bit of strength it had into my chest, all around it, embracing me completely to hold on tight. And at one point, it bit into my neck. Okay, remember, at the physical level, where my immediate consciousness is perceiving this, my immediate consciousness is perceiving this mostly as physical. But this is done at the non-spiritual, at the spiritual level. It's done at the spiritual level, meaning the light level, the lighter level. And so this entity bit into my neck. I felt no pain. Maybe I was prepared for it. But it didn't have much power. Which means that it was getting weaker because of my diet. Well, I bit back. And I bit back hard, nearly taking off his neck. But again, this is rendered in non-physical. In a non-physical, it's rendered as a physical. Sorry, in the physical, it seems like a physical thing, but it isn't. It's just merely a separation into light. So, when the neck, I wonder if I should tell this. When the neck refused to come apart, his neck refused to come apart, the light refused to separate from me, I pull hard. I pull hard. So at one point, the entity said, even if you manage to take me out, that's the first time he admitted, or she, or it admitted that there's a possibility that it might be taken out, right? Even if you manage to take me out, what about the programming in your room? And I was like, what? Programming in my room. So at this point, what the soul knew, the physical knew, the what people call the ego, the immediate consciousness knew. At the non-physical, this is all happening at the non-physical in the sleep state, right? I was like, holy crap. Immediately, without a shadow of a doubt, I knew that the council, Enki and Lee, and the so-called father, I don't even know if that's the real father, came to light. And I was like, the entity was actually telling me something. The program in your room, the entity knew that my soul knew that my room, my bedroom, has been programmed. And so, still in the non-physical, immediately I connected it to Mexico. In Mexico, where I understood that there are entities embedded within physical things, tiles, floors, that I didn't have a problem with. It was when I learned that everything is alive, even colors. That was what blew my mind. But I talk about these things in my books, so details in my books. I don't actually remember if I talk about it in the second book. But in any case, entities are embedded within physical things. This is what the story is coming to. So let's just be clear about my room being programmed. When I watch Above is Below's video, it was like a whoa, I understand. And my room being programmed, though I don't know the details, I know that physical objects had been programmed to go against me, though it hasn't been working in Lila, has not been working in Enki, and with whoever the so-called father is an Anu. But in any case, I should probably thank these fools for making the game more interesting, because quite frankly, it was getting a bit boring. Anyway, that night, in the morning, excuse me, when I learned this, I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about how, at the mind level, how my room, my bedroom, could be programmed. And everything came back again about Mexico, Peru, and so forth. If you're wondering what I'm chewing the original tooth brush. The tree that brushes your teeth without any chemicals. The branches, the parts of the tree. In West Africa, they have, you get this for pennies, not even half a penny. But, in the rest of the world, I'm sure it exists everywhere. They just don't advertise it. The chewing stick, they call it. I don't use a toothbrush anymore. And since I've given up the toothbrush, my teeth have become whiter. Anyway, going back to the story. Things can be embedded into physical things. I've had experiences. Or at least I've observed this. So, when things are embedded into physical objects, it's easier for them to suck our energies. Now, remember that energy isn't physical, so energy flows. It's non-physical. It's light. Light flows. Wow. This thing was going black. Light flows. An example is this. A year ago, there was an adult English as a second language student with whom I was talking about something sad that happened to her, and I noticed an entity inside her jumping out, thinking that I was going to feel sorry for her because of her family situation. I've learned not to get too involved. So that when that energy radiates as feeling sorry for someone, or as that's when the entities in the mirrors, the entities observing can suck it, because it's not physical, it can flow any which way. So I understand that rooms can be programmed, buildings can be programmed, can be embedded with physical thing, can be embedded with images and entities from this world and not outside of this world. So for me, that is an absolute. Above is below is absolutely correct. They are sucking our energies. So the more you know, the better. Now, I've hesitated in telling you about the story, about what the entity, the blockage inside revealed to me, because I wanted to think through it. To have an advantage over Enlil Enki, But then I realized there was nothing that I can do. There's nothing that I can do at this point about it than program my brain. Excuse me, program my brain. Programming my room. God, where did that come from? Programming my room so excuse me,